everybody go through what they go through. I don't glorify mine. Everybody go through what they go through to make them who they are. I don't have a different story. It's the same shit. I just smoke, drink, and record. Yeah. I don't write nothing down. So.
In this throwback clip from his formative years, Lil Wayne details some of the core teachings that aspiring hip-hop artists can pluck from his journey and apply it to their careers. Before the days when he dominated an era and stake his claim to being the best rapper alive with a boldness that allowed him to, for a short while at least, manifest it into reality, Dwayne Carter learned that to make hip-hop that touches the masses, you won't simply need commitment in spades, but the capability to speak to the things that make us all human. Whether they be comedic, tragic, or even tragicomic. Because when you do, it makes your punchlines hit like nobody else's, as described in step number 1, Universality of Experience. Although Weezy's ability to produce work at an astronomical rate and his status as a tenured legend are well documented, what receives less fanfare is the fact that he is a man who possesses immense intelligence in both an emotional and intellectual sense. As if he didn't, this young man would never have been able to capture the hearts of the masses. While gifted with an immense creativity, Weezy sees himself as a humble servant of his work and the position it affords him. On account of his reverence for the art form and everything that it entails, Wayne never says anything with anything less than sincerity, no matter how insightful or absurd. I take every single word, every letter, every sentence, every phrase, every quote, every verse, every bridge, every intro, every outro, personally. Wayne once revealed. By sticking to this philosophy, Wayne diffuses his work with an honesty and forthrightness, which means that whether he's examining the devastation of his hometown post-Hurricane Katrina on Tie My Hands, or suggesting that his sexual organ could be the next leader of the free world on I Am Not a Human Being, both Wayne's familiarity with the art of rhyming and the seriousness with which he approaches it means that he can imbue even the wildest couplet or the most subtly telling bar about the human experience with his distinct sense of authority. In this sense, what makes Wayne unique isn't just what he's saying, but the confidence with which he says it. And when you consider his come up, it's really no surprise that he had to learn to lead with a sense of triumph and rap about anything engagingly. Now, if you yourself would like to improve your engaging voice and your ability to tell your own unique story, be sure to check the first link in the video description for our Rap Voice Mastery course, which comes as a free bonus when you click there. Now, in the early days of his musical finishing school at Cash Money, Weezy came up under harsh scrutiny and quickly learned that if he wanted to flourish within his place as a member of the Hot Boys, he had to learn how to make anything compelling. Baby and Slim were the captains, he later revealed. What would happen is they would give us a title and a subject and everybody would go off. Manny would make a beat and you would rap your part to Baby and Slim. Once you finish, they would dissect the song from there. So you know, whoever they think is the hottest, they put that verse first, and whoever they believe has the next hottest verse, and then they put that verse last. Rigorous as this may have been, this dog-eat-dog process meant that Wayne had to find the intriguing aspect of any lyrical realm he could be boxed into and acquire the vocabulary to express it. Over the years, Weezy's process has often been painted so that it's made to sound effortless. Still, the truth is that it's only possible because of the mental conditions that he creates to facilitate this endless array of punchlines and quotables that define his work. And alongside his knack for finding the beauty or absurdity of things and funneling them into barbed wire sharp punchlines, another key to his success in this endeavor is to ensure that he's never basking in the glory of what's gone before, shown in step number 2, you're only as good as your last rhymes.
I have no answer for what I want my legacy to be. I believe if you have an answer for that, then you just put a ceiling on yourself. You know what I mean? So, and how can I say what I want my legacy to be? It's up for the people who are, is up for the listeners and the viewers and the people with opinions to say what my legacy is.
When you consider the longevity that he's managed to obtain, Tunechi isn't a man who's planning to consign himself to the history books anytime soon. Where a less determined rapper would have been content with his place in the lineage of Cash Money as a hot boy, Weezy took it upon himself to fly the flag for his label at the time when the departure of other flagship artists left them scrambling. Since then, he's gone from strength to strength, reinventing himself wherever he saw fit. As for the engine that keeps him ticking over, that all comes from refusing to be lulled into complacency by accomplishment and believing he's only as good as his last dizzying bars. Rather than remain self-congratulatory, Wayne has produced so many memorable punchlines that at times he can't even remember his own lyrics.
Safe sex is great sex. Better wear latex, because you don't want that latex that I think I'm latex.
I'm a dog. I don't know when I said it or why I said it or what I said.
Wayne.
Never one to be captivated by his own smarts, Wayne's claim of being the best rapper alive was less of a boast as it was a challenge he set for himself. In Tunechi's approach, we see that getting too impressed by your own pen, no matter how impressive, is the fast track to becoming conceited. So even if others are bowled over by what you achieve, like Drake is of Weezy's process, it's vital that you see it as just another day of doing the thing you love most.
Like Wayne does this thing that's it's scary and it's unfair, and I'm jealous of it for a million years. He sits there chilling and might get up and eat some candy and do whatever he does, and then it'll take 40 minutes maybe, if that, maybe sometimes 15, and then he'll do this and go like that, hop up and head right for the booth and lay like one or two or three of the most amazing verses that you've ever heard, with lines that it's like, what just happened? Like, did you just make a movie in your head? Like, what just happened, Because you just painted the most colorful picture for this record. Like, I'm in awe of that dude.
To Drake, Weezy's process is seamless in a way that is irreconcilable with his own. But as the Young Money mogul himself has explained, that idea of him as a savant who can create something everlasting at the drop of a dime is only one part of the puzzle. Here, we have the next critical step that makes Wayne's punchlines hit with a velocity that few can replicate in step number 3, the importance of editing.
I could take 7 weeks on 2 lines. I just told you I worked so hard on my own 2 bars, 2 lines. I'll go in and change a song that's been the same for 6 months and just hear that the need to be the, and go change. I shouldn't have said is, I should have said it. Little things like that.
For many years, the perception of Weezy as a one-take wonder has persisted. In keeping up with the mythology around Jay-Z and his Rain Man method, it's believed that since the early 2000s, Wayne has foregone the pen in favor of spitting off the top of his head. That was a long time ago, man. Wayne said of his decision to retire the pad, "I put out a mixtape. It was called 10,000 Bars. That was the last time I've ever written. You can hear the papers flinging." When asked why this was his preferred method, Wayne has argued that it leads to enhanced authenticity. "When I stopped writing, I noticed that everything was realer now," he said. "I can't speak about nothing but what's real because I can't write nothing down." Given that we as fans tend to romanticize things about the creative process, it's likely that a lot of Weezy's listeners imagine that he enters the studio, spits a perfectly crafted 24 bars of riveting wordplay, and then leaves the studio without so much as sitting the styrofoam cup to one side. But the reality is far different, as just because he can spit with the best of them from the top of his head, that doesn't mean that he doesn't refine things once he's in a playback session. As J.R. Ryder explains, he's always willing to plug back into, scrutinize his work, and fine-tune those verses he creates.
Off the top, record the verse and say I don't like the middle. Not go back in, he's still there, and do it right there. One shot deal.
Really?
And if he don't like a line or he don't like
You'll
the way
go
he
back
said
in
it,
and fix it.
you'll say, yeah, let's do that over.
Wayne believes that things can always hit harder because he is incapable of delivering something less than what he perceives as his best bars. So whether it's your cadence or the words themselves, Weezy's approach should remind us that editing shouldn't be feared, but embraced. Similarly, his example teaches us that the laser focus on your work should allow you to drown out the external noise to produce the product that best represents you, described in step number 4, don't worry about others.
I listen to music that's not hip hop all the time because I don't listen to no other hip hop but my damn self. And I don't only listen to myself, so I guess that answers the question. Yeah, of course, you got Anita Baker, you got Keith Sweat, you got Marvin Gaye, you got Bob Marley, you got Tech Nine, if you want to call that hip hop. Then you got Judah Priest, you got Lamb of God, Nirvana, Blink 182, name it. The new hip hop, I love it. I love it. I love that it's actually changed. Back in the G, you have to spit your heart out.
At times, it's believed that to be at the top, you need to stay abreast of absolutely everything that's happening within your craft. But for Wayne, his decision to renounce the goings-on of the genre he operates in shows that it's far from a necessity to succeed. If you think that he's overstating the depths of his willful ignorance, let's not forget that the man infamously thought that 21 Savage was a group rather than a singular human being.
I remember I mistook 21 Savage for a damn group. I remember when I was asked,
that does sound
when they
like
asked me, I said they got 20. I said they got 21 fucking new rappers in one group. And I said, I was so serious. I was like, man, that's like a new Wu-Tang. Right? And the person with the mic was like, you serious right now, huh?
Known to delegate collaborations and general A&R to his longtime confidant Mac Main, Weezy's insulated approach means that he can focus entirely on what he's creating, gleaning inspiration from places other than his contemporaries or the mood of the times. Mac's ear is to the world, mine isn't, Weezy said. Mine is to myself and my music, my world. And so Mac knows what everyone is listening to and likes, so he comes and listens to those songs because he's the one who will let me know, like, they gonna love this, they gonna love that. So we hopefully end up with the best songs out of the whole 100,000 of them I recorded. Although Tunechi may follow this strategy to the point of zealotry, it doesn't change the fact that there is absolute validity in refusing to get hung up on what's happening around you to write in a way that reflects what you want to bring to the game. As if you're too fixated on the music in your midst, there's a good chance that its tropes and formulas confine you. Likewise, if you spend all of your time painstakingly recreating what's happening externally rather than internally, all those hours poured into working could be for naught. On the subject of work, the fifth and final commandment from the book of Yeezy is all about putting in the time. Step number 5, work like you're still broke.
I work hard every day. I wake up every day and I go to work. I wake up every night and I go to work. I try not to sleep. I try to work more. And it's only because I'm young. It's not because I'm a workaholic. I believe that when you're young, you're obligated to work. And then when you get to an age that you feel like you're not young anymore, that's what you work for.
While we've already touched on how Wayne divorces himself from the promotion to focus on creativity, we haven't detailed exactly how this manifests for Lil Tunechi. As opposed to taking some downtime, Weezy's endless stream of punchlines is formed by the fact that he eats, sleeps, and breathes his craft to the extent that he can't imagine an existence without it.
It'll be hard not to keep being creative. If you're a creative person, right, it's just gonna be, it's up to you to want to put the creation together. And that's why I said, until I don't have that energy to want to, them words that keep popping up in my mind when I can't watch TV without words, analogies, and trust me. And when that stop happening, until I'm ready, if I don't call Mac, if I don't call Lucy, shout out Lucy, that's my assistant. If I don't hear Lucy and say, studio 2 a.m. You know what I mean? If I don't hit and say studio 1 a.m.
Crediting his work ethic to watching his mother, who is a chef, grind tirelessly in his youth, Weezy knows that even with all the other steps he takes to make his brain a fertile place for rhymes, there is just no substitute for showing up day in, day out, no matter the applause you may be receiving. Speaking years ago, Young Money engineer O'Neill detailed the sheer depths of Weezy's commitment to the craft. He just works, he said. He's always in the studio working. That's his passion. I've been in the industry for 13 years and I've never met anybody that works as hard as him. I mean, the day the Carter 3 came out, I went to visit him at Platinum Sound in New York City and he was in the studio. I was like, yo, the album's out. And he was still in the studio. That's just what he does. Reluctant to take days off, Wayne won't let himself slip into cruise control, and that is encapsulated by his modern day features in which he continues to astound just as he always has. By all rights, no 40-year-old MC should be rapping with the sheer panache of Weezy on Tyler the Creator's Hot Wind Blows, for example, but he can and will continue to do so for as long as his body and brain permit it. In a previously unpublished interview with Passion of the Weiss, Wayne detailed the way that he sees his rhymes, and that is less of an occupation or even a love as it is simply an extension of himself. That's all I am, is music. This is all I do. 25 hours a day, 8 days a week. That's what I do. That's the thing I want them to get, if anything, that I live it. This isn't something that I do, this is who I am. Hardwired into his very consciousness and providing governance over his life, Lil Wayne has stayed on top due to sharpening his mind so that everything is geared towards creating those bars that keep us constantly checking for a new drop from The Martian. With that in mind, if you can take the same measures to make hip-hop as symbiotic as Wayne has, you may have a chance of emulating a degree of his greatness. Now, I want to see you in the comments. What is Lil Wayne's most iconic punchline? And of course, if you're an artist yourself watching this, be sure to visit the video description for that Rap Voice Mastery free bonus on that page. I've been your host, Drew Marcy, the big homie Drew Friday Rap. I'm out.